Committee meeting to order. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
Motion.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, now approval of minutes. This is from the February 27th committee meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Now, unfinished business, we're going to go back to the mobile home parks and subdivision zoning. We have Derek Uten here with us today, and he's going to go with us through it, some of the changes that he's continued to make throughout the last month. No. Yes.
Well, I would say Heath ought to go through it,
Oh, sir.
because he made all the changes. Now, he
Well, I know
went
that
on
you
my
had made some
recommendation.
suggestions last time, but, so I didn't know if you had any more suggestions. No.
I found one thing that we needed to change, but Heath has already taken care of that.
Okay, good.
That's what I wanted to verify just a little bit ago.
Sure, okay.
So
And then-
that's done.
Okay, and I knew we were going to go to Heath for the rest, because I knew you've been working on it, but I didn't know if you had anything else that you
I
needed to
don't.
cover. Okay. All right, so I'll kick it over to Heath.
Yep. I mean, really what I did is went through the mobile home, now manufactured home park portion and the subdivision portion of our county code. And the reason we did it this way, we don't usually do this. We usually just go back to ordinances. Well, every year, of course, our code is updated. And so the folks that do that were nice enough to send us a Word version of this so that we could use this. And then when the changes are made, we can send that back to them. And so that way, they're not guessing where stuff needs to go in our code. So that's why, although it's only a couple of chapters of this, that's why y'all got such a bunch of paper
Voluminous.
in your email, so. But the one that I had a question about, if you look, it's section 155.024. It's about halfway through your packet. Yeah, and it's a green highlighted.
Page 94.
One is section 155.024. And what that language says is that, of course, there's in place a plat recording procedure for a subdivision. And part of that is when the final plat has been approved and it's recorded, and this is not something I came up with, Derek had pointed this out. So that language that's highlighted states that when that final plat is recorded, that indicates the offer of dedication of those streets by the subdivider or developer, however you want to look at it, to the county. So if, Derek's suggestion was if the county is not going to be in the paving business anymore, then that needs to come out, and frankly, probably some of the other plat stuff needs to get changed.
That's right.
But that's kind of our, that's kind of the first question you've got to answer.
But, and what he's saying is that if you come to record a deed or plat, and we have that in place, then you're saying that county council is going to accept the road.
Roads, yep.
So, and then they'll expect us to accept the road.
Sure. So that needs to be taken out if we don't want
Right.
to take the roads.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, there's probably some other language about the plat approval process that would come out too or need to be changed.
Right.
But until we get past that question, we don't need to get to that. But I think that was kind of the feeling based on the last couple of meetings, is that was where we were headed.
I agree.
That the county is not in a position now to maintain the roads it has, although the CTC does a great job with the limited amount of funds they have, and they've always been a great partner with the county and still are, there's just not going to be the funds there to pave roads, accept new roads, and just to even maintain them.
So if we don't want to take the roads in, do we just need to take this whole
Yeah, I mean,
paragraph out?
that would come out, and again, there'd be some other stuff in this particular subsection that would get changed, but I mean, that's what we need to know the answer to before we go to that point.
Okay.
I mean, there would still be some plat approval that would need to be done, certainly, but as far as the language concerning the roads, we would go through and change some of that.
So is that a recommendation back to council that we take that out?
Right,
Okay.
yeah, this would be y'all's recommendation back to council.
Okay.
I mean, otherwise, the other changes that have been made and are marked in the copies that I sent to you are all things that were discussed at the prior meeting based on Derek's recommendations.
The wording.
The
like
wording,
local
yes.
manufactured and the
Right.
date, there's some fee changes and there's
Right.
some date changes.
Right.
Right, okay. All right. So is there anything else we need to go through today regarding it?
Well, I think we need to add some verbiage in there about who's gonna take care of the roads in a subdivision. HOA, who? Because it's gonna be hard to make a contractor or developer to go by our specs if we're not going to accept the road. So that's comes in behind this, you know, because I'm gonna get that argument. If the county's not gonna accept the roads, why are you gonna make me pave them? Why are you gonna make me have a 66-foot right-of-way? But if something happened and the HOA goes broke, then is the county gonna accept roads then? So that's a big concern.
We can't take care of what we got now.
That's right. I agree.
So where would that go and what would that sound like?
I mean, that would be,
There?
it would, some of it would be here. Yeah, and we had some discussion about that at the last meeting. You know, I would think there would be a number of ways that we could do that. But yeah, that would certainly be something that we'd need to do. Because otherwise, I think like we discussed at the last meeting, if you just say the county's not gonna accept them, what's gonna happen is a subdivision gets built out, developer then has no incentive whatsoever to maintain the road, because they don't own any property there anymore. And you're going to have those folks coming to county council demanding that the road be fixed, paved, whatever.
So we're saying that they have to have some means to maintain the road, whether HOA.
Right.
I don't really know of another way other than.
Yeah, there's
HOA,
gonna have to be some mechanism in place for them to maintain that road.
How long can you require somebody to carry a bond?
That's a good question. I mean, it certainly would not be, it couldn't be indefinitely. I mean, in other words, I think by the time the problem arose, in other words, you have a good, say you have a good road, meets all the standards, you hope. Well, by the time that road is falling into disrepair, you're not gonna be able to make somebody have a bond for that long.
Okay.
Yeah.
Too bad you couldn't pick up the bond.
Yeah, I mean.
Because the first few years is not gonna.
Yes, yeah. I mean, you know, the problem is gonna arise, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years down the road, if the road is built up to spec to start with.
'Cause think about it, and we've got this throughout the county now. You've got subdivisions in place that, or basically subdivisions in place that was never put into the county, but they were just done, they were grandfathered in.
Right.
But to this day, that road that was cut out is still showing, it would literally be the developer's
Right, correct.
property. So at some point, that road needs to divert over to the homeowners association.
Right.
It does not need to go back to that developer. You see what I'm, Queens out there in Mendorf, prime example. Nobody claims the road, but we know the original developer is the one that probably still the landowner of that road.
And there's a subdivision off of Cattle Ridge that's like behind Sloan. Is that an example or not?
Because that is the developer's, no, that's our road. That's a county
The
road.
one behind Sloan is still, not Sloan, but that, what was going to be a development behind there? I'm just trying to, in my head, like, figure out an
I'm
example.
trying to think of one that you would know. Okay, take the one off of Sloan. It's a dirt road that goes back in there,
Yeah,
correct?
that's what I'm talking about.
That is a county road.
Okay.
But they teed off of that road also years ago that never got put in the county system. And it was said word of mouth that, yeah, but we never accepted that road into the county system. If they start selling lots off of that road, that would be an
That's what I
example.
was thinking, because I was clicking around on the GIS today, and I noticed that there was, it looks like a road, but it's, I was just trying to figure that. I think I know exactly what you're
Yep,
talking
you
about.
got Sloan, our county dirt road still
Goes
goes here.
around,
There's a road that
Yep.
tees off of that. That would be an example right there.
but that one's never been taken into the county system, so if they build there, it's on them to,
That's correct.
There's a lot of roads in the county just like that.
And that's not unique to Chesterfield County. There's all over the, it's all over the state.
Right.
I know from talking to my colleagues in other counties.
okay, so what is our next step with that?
And I think if the decision is that you going to make the recommendation to council to, that we're not going to accept any additional subdivision roads into the county system, then our next step is to come up with a mechanism to include in the code as to how those roads will be. I don't know that the actual development of them would change, because again, I think, like I say, you want to make sure that they are up to standards at the beginning, because that's going to, we've had some of that in the distant past where you've had road, I say that, not distant past, we've got one right now, where a road is built not up to standard. Those are the ones where you're going to start having problems pretty immediately within a couple of years. But then we need to figure out, okay, 10 years, 20 years down the road, something needs to be in place. HOA is one. We have something called a planned development district in our zoning. I think there was only one that was ever started. It was down in the southern part of the county, and it was back around 2008, so it never got off the ground. But that's another option. It's very similar to an HOA,
That's what I was gonna say, will you tell me the name of that again? And
planned development district.
plan development?
Yeah, that's in our zoning ordinance now.
And what is that exactly?
It's kind of an HOA, but it's more comprehensive than that. It not only encompasses an HOA, but it also has certain standards and requirements for green space, I think parking, all kinds of different things. So it goes beyond just the HOA to take care of roads.
And where is that one?
That's in the zoning ordinance.
Right, but where is it in our county?
In,
Off Lake Robinson Road.
all right.
Okay. But you said never really,
Yeah, I mean, it's,
Turn around and sold out.
yeah, it's,
okay,
one person pretty much owns most of that now. And it's not, their intended use is not as a subdivision. So, Correct.
and
That's
all-
correct.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, like I say, it's HOA is a part of it, but it's more comprehensive than that. I mean, you know, gated community, you know, that, I hate to use that term. But that's what, you know, I think of it as, you know, it's kind of its own community, like you say, playground, clubhouse, pool, you know, that kind of thing.
I think we were looking at, I don't wanna go down a whole nother rabbit hole, but I think we were looking at like tiny home developments.
Right.
Some of the ones up in the western, northwest part of our state. some of
Right.
those have those planned developments, so, okay.
But that would be, you know, our next step, and I mean, that would require, I think, certainly some additional research on my part and Derek's part to get some ideas as to, you know, what methods could we use. You know, you don't want to be, I don't know that you want to say, oh, we're going to require everything to be a planned development district, because that's probably overboard. But you do want to at least have something in place to prevent from happening what has happened some in the past, where you have subdivisions get done.
We
Problems.
encourage development, we just
Sure.
want it to be done the right way, and a way in which we can realistically handle it with our
Yep.
county. Yes.
And also to protect the
And to protect
homeowners
the
in there
citizens,
too.
yeah. I mean, I just remember those folks who have come here and who said, you know, I was told I'm gonna have a road, a paved road, and by a developer, and it's not on us. I mean, we never were part of that. So, yeah, I just wanna protect that from happening again too, certainly. Okay, so our next step would be for maybe you to research that, flesh that out, and then come back to us with that verbiage, and then we can make a motion, or a recommendation to council.
Okay, we can do that.
Well, I know it's been a lot, and I really appreciate, I really do, I mean, this is the important stuff that we need to take care of, and I appreciate you doing it.
Well, I mean, I'll have to say, I mean, Derek and his staff have, you know, they've done the bulk of the work up to this point. I'll say that.
It is. But the Association of Counties asked me, you know, how do you want to see your county grow? Recently, it was a question in a questionnaire they gave me, and I said intentionally. I want us to have a plan. I don't want it to be, our growth needs to be intentional, and that's the way to protect all of us. All right, anything else?
Mobile home parks, you was worried about the years, you were having issues with that. Did you get that corrected?
That's taken care of.
Okay.
So what is that?
I don't know if this is the right time
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fine.
or place to do this, but we need to strongly consider putting verbiage in our zoning for fold-out homes. Last week alone, I had 3 different phone calls, people wanting to bring a fold-out home in.
Tell me what that is. Is that like a camper that
That-
extends out, or?
It's a 400 square foot house that you walk up and you mash a button and the walls stand up, roof goes up, walls stand up. Yes, sir. I have been checking on that, but 3 people just last week called, because you can get one for about $10,000.
Buy them off Amazon, can't you?
Huh?
Can't you get them off Amazon?
Yeah, yeah.
Right off Amazon.
Yeah, from
Had one-
$7,000 to $20,000.
There's one that's already in the county. And I don't know what to do. Because they're on wheels, they're mobile,
So they're mobile.
and if they've got the RV label, then it's considered a recreational vehicle.
It's already wired and everything, isn't it?
All right, so what do we need to do about that?
We have to think about that.
And these folks are wanting to do what with these houses? Make them permanent? Or,
We got to have some kind of regulations to regulate it. Because the way it is, they can just start pulling them in and get a camper service, plug it up.
Can they not be included in the verbiage for, or the same requirements as a mobile home? If it's mobile,
I think it would fall under the RV
It'd
part.
it'd fall under the RV.
what are our RV regulations?
Huh?
What are the RV regulations?
Well, it's supposed to be for temporary living only. That's 180 days. But then what will happen, if you move it from Lot A to Lot B, it's considered moved.
You know, and if we were to change it, I'm just talking out loud, but if you change it and say 180 days in the county, who's gonna keep up with that? I mean, is that what we're saying? Problem with
We would have to keep up with it, we would have to police it. And it's unreal how many people are living in campers in this county. Unreal. In fact, got a permit for an inspection today for a camper service. We do 5 to 7 a week. And some of them are legit. Some of them they just use for hunting, just during hunting season. But a lot of them people live permanently.
So where do we need to go with that? Is that something that we as a committee
Yeah, I think that would be separate from,
study and?
separate from what we're
break
doing
that?
now.
Okay.
But that is something that we could look at.
but you need, I hate to say this, but it needs to be done soon, because we don't want to start a precedent. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but we just need to have the rules before people start putting them up.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I mean, it may be as simple as making sure that that those are defined as RVs, specifically in the portion of our zoning ordinance concerning RVs and RV parks, and then going through that to make sure that there's nothing in there that needs to be changed, amended, updated.
And the way I look at it currently is if it does not have a label, an RV label or a HUD label, you can't live in it unless you get an engineer to approve it.
Okay.
And we got a lot of that too.
So can you do that for us? Can you go back and?
Right, yeah, that's what we would need to do first, is let's look at that. And
Certainly, there are other counties that are running into this
Right.
also. We're not a lone wolf, that's for sure.
I'd say every county in the state.
What are some of the things you're running into? You said we have several in the county that don't have the RV or the HUD label.
I'm sorry?
What are some of the things you're running into in the county that don't?
Storage buildings. They go buy a storage building, have it delivered. 2 weeks later, you see chairs sitting on the front porch and hanging basket. And it's hard to regulate. Because unless we're out there at night when they're asleep, they're gonna say, no, we don't live there, we just, but there's a stove and a oven and refrigerator and bathroom.
Jacuzzi. Jacuzzi.
Yeah. Yeah, it's usually out in the front yard.
So I think we know what we need to do as a committee, and then Mr. Ruffner's going to help us with those couple items that we talked about. Is there anything else we need to cover? No?
Not at this time.
So our main concerns are, how are we going to have the roads maintained after the developer's finished, whether that be HOA or whatever we can figure out. And also look into the issue of fold-up housing and other housing situations that might need to be tended to that are considered RVs. How does that RV reg read with the fold-up housing, right? All right. Any other unfinished business? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. No discussion? All in favor? All right. Thank you for coming.